Let's wander back and finish up our lesson for today. Welcome back, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue talking about final stable syllables. Take a look at these words up on my board. We're going to look carefully first at the first column of words. Listen to these words and listen for the sound in the final position. Beetle, little, rattle. What sound do you hear in the final position? Beetle, little, rattle. That's right. We hear the toll sound in the final position. What do you see that might be making the toll sound at the end of each of these words? Yes, we see T-L-E at the end of each of these words. Let's take a look at our other words. Listen to these words and listen for the sound in the final position. Jingle, struggle, jiggle. What sound do you hear in the final position? Jingle, struggle, jiggle. Yes, we hear the gull sound at the end of each of these words. What do you see that might be making the gull sound at the end of the words? Yes, we see G-L-E at the end of each of these words. G-L-E and T-L-E are final stable syllables. They're called final because they're at the end of the word. We call them stable because they do not change. And we call them syllables because they have their own vowel sound. How do we code final stable syllables? That's right. We're going to bracket them off. What else do we do to code final stable syllables? Yes, we're going to cross out the E because it is silent. And one more thing. We put an accent mark after our first syllable. Let's go ahead and finish coding our words. Let's start with this word here. What do we need to code on this word? We have digraph EE, so we need to underline digraph EE. We're going to cross out the second E, and we're going to put a macron over the first E so we remember that it's going to be long and say its name. What about this word? We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. And what about this one? Another vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Let's look up here. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. And this one? Don't get confused. Those are not double consonants. Remember, G-L-E is now a final stable syllable, so it's separate. So we're going to leave that G alone. Let's look at our vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Remember what we said here too? Yes, this is not final consonants, so let's look for our vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now, let's look at some final stable syllable words that are a little bit different than the ones we have been talking about. Let's look closer at the word castle. How do we code a final stable syllable? We're going to bracket it off, and we cross out our E because it is silent. But in the word castle, I do not hear the letter T. It is also silent. So we're going to cross it out too. And let's put our accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's finish coding the word castle. Let's code our first syllable. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now let's look at our next word. In the word hustle, we have our final stable syllable, T-L-E. So we're going to cross out the E because it is silent. And listen carefully. Hustle. Do we hear the letter T? No, we don't. It's silent also. So we're going to cross it out. Now let's put our accent mark. And now let's code our first syllable. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now let's look at the word bustle. Let's bracket off our final stable syllable. We're going to cross out our E because it is silent. Listen carefully. Bustle. We do not hear the T again, so we're going to cross it out because it is also silent. And put our accent mark after the first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now let's take a look at our last word, bristle. Let's bracket off our final stable syllable. And our E is silent, so let's cross it out. And listen again. Bristle. Our T again is silent, so let's cross it off. We're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. And how should we code our first syllable? We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Great job, boys and girls. Now let's practice spelling a word with our new final stable syllables. Today we're going to practice spelling the word settle. Settle. Let's sound it out using our bodies. S-E-T-T-L. Let's go ahead and let's write it out. S-E-T-L. Very good, boys and girls. Now let's code our word to make sure we've spelled it correctly. We need to bracket off our final stable syllable. We're going to cross out our E because it is silent and put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. Let's look carefully at the vowel. What do you see? Yes, we have an open accented vowel. So it's going to be long, and we're going to code it with a macron. Now let's go ahead and let's read this word. Cetal. Remember that macron is making the vowel long and say its name. So it's going to go E-E-E. Cetal. Is that the word we want to write today? No, we want to write the word settle. Settle. Let's sound out our word again and see if we can figure out what's missing. S-E-T-L. What did we hear after the E sound? S-E-T-L. We heard the T sound. So we need to add a letter T to our word. Now we can change that macron to a breve. And let's read our word again. Settle. There we go. Good job, boys and girls. So today, boys and girls, we've been learning a couple of more final stable syllables. We have learned about this one. So when we see this card, we're going to say final stable syllable, T-L-E. And to help us remember what sound it makes, we have bottle, toll. We also have this one. When we see this card, we're going to say final stable syllable, G-L-E. And to help us remember what sound it makes, we have bugle, goal. So when I tell you the toll sound, you're going to write and say final stable syllable, T-L-E. And when I tell you the goal sound, you're going to write and say final stable syllable, G-L-E. We also have a new sight word for today. This is the word I. But is this the same word I we've learned before? No, before we had talked about the word I with the letter I, as in I can ride my bicycle. This is a different one. This is not like I am talking about myself. This is I, like I see something with my eyes. So today we have a new sight word, the word eye. She had a tear in her eye. Remember, sight words are words that do not always follow the rules. So because of that, we need to memorize them. So whenever we see them in our reading or in our writing, we circle them because these are words that we know. Great job, boys and girls. Now let's practice coding some words up on the board. Let's start with this word here. Where should we begin? Good job. We have suffix ed at the end of the word. Now I know when suffix ed comes after an unvoiced letter, it's going to make the t sound. The letter P goes p, 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 and that is an unvoiced sound. So I know that suffix ed in this word is going to go t. What else should I code in this word? Good job. We have double consonants. so we need to cross out the second one so we remember that it is silent. Now let's look for our vowel. Is it followed by a consonant? Yes, it is. A vowel followed by a consonant is short, and we code it with a breve. Let's go ahead and let's read our word. Dropped. Dropped. She dropped her pencil on the floor. Dropped. Let's go ahead and look at this phrase. Look at the very end of the first word. What do you see? We have suffix s, so let's go ahead and box it in. What else do you see at the end of the word? Yes, we have final stable syllable, T-L-E. So we're going to cross out our E because it is silent, and we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now, I want to stay here at the end of the word for just one more minute. Final stable syllable, T-L-E, makes the toll sound. I know that when suffix s comes after the ol sound, it's going to make its voiced sound. So let's draw a line through it so I remember that it goes z, z, z. Now let's code our first syllable. Look for the vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Let's go to our next word. We also have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. And let's look at our last word. Is there anything that's easy and obvious to code? We have the letter C, so let's put a K back so we remember that it goes k, k, k. Now look at the end of the word. We have sneaky E, so let's cross it out. And remember, it's going to jump over and make the letter A long and say its name. Let's go ahead and let's read this phrase. Tattles on Kate. Oh my, we shouldn't tattle on each other. Let's go ahead and let's look at this last sentence. Let's start with the first word in the sentence. We see digraph SH, so let's go ahead and underline it. Now let's look at our vowels. We have sneaky E, so let's cross it out. Remember, it jumps over and makes the letter I long and say its name, so let's code it with a macron. Now let's look at our next word. Look at the end of the word. Good job. That's not suffix s, that's apostrophe s. Remember, apostrophe s means something belongs to someone. So, let's see what else we can code at the end of this word. We have final stable syllable, D-L-E. So let's bracket it off. We're going to cross out our E because it is silent, and we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now, while I'm thinking about final stable syllable, D-L-E, I want to go ahead and code my apostrophe S. Final stable syllable, D-L-E, makes the dull sound. And I know that when an S comes after the ol sound, it's going to make its voiced sound. So I'm going to draw a line through it to remind myself that it's going to go z, z, z. Now let's look at our first syllable. Look for your vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so it's going to be short and it's going to be coded with a breve. Now, let's look at our last word. Look at the end of the word. What do you see? Yes, we see final stable syllable G-L-E. So we're going to bracket it off. We're going to draw a line through our E because it is silent. And we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. Look carefully at the vowel. An open, accented vowel is long, and we code it with a macron. Now let's go ahead and let's read this sentence. Shine Mendel's bugle. Oh my. Great job today, boys and girls. Keep an eye out for those final stable syllables. Coding them will help you become better readers. We'll see you later. Bye.